Hello and welcome to Politics Today, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos. I'm Jeffrey Uzonga. A lot happens in the polity. Our job is to track every single day right here on the show, and that's why we're beginning from the nation's capital, Abuja. As President Bola Tinubu has asked the ECOWAS member states to unite, strengthen ties, and reject forces causing division within the community. The president, who is the chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, made the assertion at the inauguration of the 6th legislature of the ECOWAS Parliament, explained that the regional solidarity is imperative at this time. He believes that member states cannot remain passive spectators while the community faces the threat of disintegration. President Tinubu also re-echoed Nigeria's commitment to the vision of the community and the fundamental objectives upon which the ECOWAS Parliament was established in the first place. More stories now. The 7-man investigative panel sitting over the alleged misconduct of the Deputy Governor of Edo State, Mr. Philip Shaibu, has again adjourned for another day, and this is sequel to the non-appearance of counsel to the defense. In hushed tones, members of the panel shared ideas over the situation and arrived at the conclusion that another adjournment has again become imperative to give the defense another chance to make their appearance. Before the adjournment, the chairman of the panel, Justice S.A. Omonua, retired, said those reporting the proceedings could utilize daily recordings of every sitting for accuracy. Justice Omonua then adjourned sitting to tomorrow, April the 5th. Well, as I said, there is a lot to talk about when it comes to national politics. So we're going to take it in bits as much as possible. And one of the things we're going to look at is the state of the nation. I'll be joined by 2 former lawmakers at the federal level. The president's tenure is about to get to a year in just a few months from now, as well as that of the sub-nationals. So we're going to take a look at some of these things, as well as the signing into law of that repealed and reenacted Students' Loan Act. The national president of the Students' Association will be joining me at some point on the show as we explain and look at some of the provisions or the policy indicators that led to the annotation of that particular act. But that will come, all of this will come after we bring you your political roundup stories.
The arraignment of Biden's holding a meeting and one of his senior executives, Tigran Gambaryan, was today stalled at the Federal High Court, Abuja. The arraignment could not go on as the second defendant, Mr. Nadeem Anjawala, has not been served with the charge by the Federal Inland Revenue Service. At the day's proceedings, his counsel, Tonyo Krukubo, drew the attention of the court to the fact that his client, whom the federal government scheduled for arraignment, does not have an idea of the charges against him. Justice Emeka Nwite subsequently adjourned till April the 19th for arraignment in the FRS suit. The Inspector General of the Nigerian Police, Mr. Olukayode Egbetokun, has been given an update on the efforts of the police force to fulfill its mandate of securing lives and properties in the first quarter of 2024. The IGP, who was speaking during a meeting with the force management team in Abuja, announced that 9 persons have been arrested in connection with the killings of 6 policemen in Ughelli, Delta State, with 6 others at large. Mr. Egbetokun explained that those arrested are currently given the force information that will aid in the arrest of those involved in the killings.
I am pleased to note that we have made significant progress in the investigation into this tragic incident. A total of 9 suspects confirmed to have been actively involved in the killing of these officers have so far been apprehended.
Rivers State Governor Mr. Siminalayi Fubara says any changes to the list of caretaker committee members of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in the state not in line with the initial agreement would not be accepted. Governor Fubara's remarks came after concerns raised by supporters about the list of state and local government caretakers committee members published by the party's National Working Committee. Governor Fubara notes that it was earlier agreed at a meeting of the party stakeholders meeting that in a state where the executive tenure have expired, there should be 3 months extension. Meanwhile, the Rivers APC caretaker chairman, Tony Okocha, has accused Governor Fubara of plotting to procure court injunctions to stifle the State House of Assembly from carrying out its functions. Speaking during the press briefing in Port Harcourt, Mr. Okocha questioned the sincerity of the governor's claim of signing the Presidential Peace Pact because of the respect he has for President Tinubu.
One of the biggest conversation in the policy right now is the hike in electricity tariff. Though it's for Band A users who are expected to have at least 20 hours of light in 24 hours, as described by the regulators, as well as that increment 225 kilowatts per hour is that increment from 66. So from 66 kilowatts per hour, that is one of the biggest conversations besides the issue of insecurity and all of that. So we're going to have like a bouquet of conversation on some of the things happening in the country and the policy direction of the government, as well as assessing how far that has come. I'm being joined on the program from our Abuja studio by a former member of the House of Representatives who represented Jos South and East Federal Constituency, Honorable Dachong Bagos. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Honorable Bagos, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Yeah, thank you, Geoffrey. Good evening, Nigeria.
We're also joined via Zoom by the senator. He represented Rivers East Senatorial District in the National Assembly, Senator Andrew Uchendu. Senator Uchendu, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
Senator Uchendu, let me start with you. Apparently, I can see that you have electricity. I suspect that you're one of those in the Band A category, but that's on the aside. How did you receive this information about the increment for that particular category of customers?
Yeah, thank you very much. First, let me correct the impression you have. I am supplying myself the power that I use. I have to generate. For the past 1 week, I've been generating power from my generator. So I'm not definitely going to be part of the brand that the law is envisaging. Strictly speaking, I have always held this view that any good decision or right decision taken at the wrong time would definitely be wrong. Any right decision taken at the wrong time will ultimately be wrong. Nigerians have had a fairly bad deal in recent times. It was important that fuel subsidy be removed, and it has been removed. And some of us did argue that possibly adequate preparations were not made in anticipation of obvious implications of subsidy removal. And so that very policy decision is biting hard on every Nigerian. So now come back 6 months down the line to talk about another subsidy removal, whether for Band A or Band B or Band C, will definitely ordinarily irritate most Nigerians. And I think it is coming at the wrong time. We would have allowed the negative effect of the petroleum subsidy removal to be properly controlled, calmed down before introducing any other subsidy removal. I think we seem to have been flogged enough, and I don't think it is right. But then, we do not think, I in particular do not think that anybody should enjoy subsidy, but we should do it at the right time, after taking into account appropriate measures that will ameliorate the consequences and implications of such a decision. Like I said, I am not part of the band, and because the statistics in Nigeria have always been very faulty, I don't know who qualifies to be in Band A and Band B and Band C. And by the time you know it, those who are in Band A that are supposed to be, enjoying 20 hours will be those who are supposed to be in Band B, because manipulations will always come in. And I think that if there are standard procedures, clear procedures of doing things from the word go, where proper statistics have been collected, these things can easily be categorized, and we will know from time to time who is in Band A, who is in Band B, and all that. Summarily put, this is not the right time to introduce further subsidies in Nigeria because we all are crying. The entire middle class have already been eliminated, and I don't think we can survive any more hardship.
Let me come to you, Honorable Bagos, because two of you now are private citizens. This is affecting everyone. He said that this increment, the timing is wrong. First, are you in one of those categories? Do you agree that the timing is wrong as well? Because I heard the NEC vice chairman yesterday said part of what is being done is to help that sector grow so that investors can come in. Because recouping investment in that sector has been a challenge, and there are a potpourri of issues around it. So I just wanted to get your initial reaction to all of this in terms of this increment that a couple of people are worried that after this, it could now get down to other categories of customers, since this affects every Nigerian, because the power cost or energy cost eventually affects the prices of goods and services, which is why it is a very important conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I agree with the distinguished senator. Not that just that the timing is wrong, but even the planning is wrong, Geoffrey, because at this particular time, why we supported initially the issue of fuel subsidy removal is that the notion that most of the monies for fuel subsidy was going or was enriching just a few. And in as much as even the removal, there was no proper plan for it to cushion the effect on Nigerians. Now you are having the electricity subsidy being removed again. So what are those plans that the federal government have put in place to cushion the effect on Nigerians? And subsidy itself, one thing we need to understand, there is no government in the world that does not pay subsidy for something to be able to cushion the effect on its citizenry. The UK that we are all copying or rushing to, or even the US, all of them have subsidies on certain sector of the economy that will cushion the effect of hardship on their own citizens. UK has its subsidy Act 2022 to look at how the subsidy regime will be able to cushion effect on health, agriculture, and others, to have a proper plan for subsidy. So in Nigeria now, removing the electricity subsidy, what is Nigeria really and truly subsidizing to cushion the effect of suffering on its citizenry? Because let the removal of subsidy not just be that we want to remove subsidy so that we save money. No, but let it be that what are those plans on ground to be able to see that, look, the effect of suffering on Nigerians is being cushioned. But if it is just to save money, I can tell you that this same money that is being saved from this subsidy removal will still end up in one or two people's pocket, because the first subsidy removal, Nigerians are not feeling it, because at the end of the day, we are talking about conditional cash or this or palliatives. Who today can we say that because of those palliative, it has now reduced the cost of price, food price in the market, or it has given us good road in certain areas, or we can now walk into the hospitals and get free drugs and whatsoever. The plan of the removal of the electricity subsidy at this particular moment, from my own view, it is wrong. And even the planning, it's wrong, because we need clear, look, we are all Nigerians. We're in a democratic dispensation that we shouldn't just wake up and say that we are taking something. We all have a stake in nationhood. We should be able to know that if 1.1 trillion naira is being, what is going to be, what is 1.1 trillion naira will be done? Is it going to be put into the renewable energy to see that, okay, we have wind, or we have solar, or we have more dams? How many dams do we even have today that we are not talking now to ensure that band A, band B, band C, or band whatsoever will get electricity at the end of the day? But even the band A, band B, the band A, is it situated on where we'll promote small-scale industry? Because without that, at the end of the day, businesses will suffer. Because at the end of the day, what is the essence of electricity in the first place? Is it just for me to have electricity in my room for 24 hours to put AC and watch TV? No. It should be able that, look, industries should be able to benefit. Small-scale businesses should be able to benefit. Channels that we are today, I'm very sure that even channels here is running on generator, should be able to, so that we'll be able to cushion the effect at the end of the day that this electricity have reached to businesses, that the common man on the street will not feel the effect of production line, that the production chain that will now reach the common man at the end of the day is now being lessened. But if just the band A is just being taken to GRA and government premises, or just areas that the big man will sit down and say, no, government is doing well, then it is the very, very wrong approach. I want to see that electricity has reached Gudu, electricity has reached Apo, electricity has reached Aba Market, electricity has reached most of these areas that businesses are being carried out, and at the end of the day, when you go to Wuse Market tomorrow, you will not be hearing generators left, right, center. That is when we will now know that, look, government have channeled electricity to the common man to see that at the end of the day, output of the production line, it's now being reduced. But if just to take this band A to GRA and to whatsoever, then it is a very wrong approach at the end of the day.
Let me come to you, Senator Ochendo, on this one. Does it feel that the president's tenure, this is April, the next month is going to be May and all of that, January, February, March, April, May, and then it's going to be 1 year. So we have barely, maybe less than 2 months. So the first anniversary of this leadership under President Bola Tinubu. Do you think they are doing too many heavy liftings at the same time?
I agree with you completely. There are too many irons that have been put to the fire. But normally, in general management principles, when you want to introduce change, try and introduce as many as possible. But please, make sure you calculate and evaluate them properly. Introduce them all at the same time, and then the system, allow the system time, the gestation period to recover. I agree that some of the actions they are taking should come up at this time. My problem is that proper evaluation of the implications of such action were not really carried out. And that is where the problem lies. I'll give you an example. If fuel subsidy has been removed, as it has been removed, it does not make sense anymore for you to go and buy, talk of palliatives, buy rice and gare and milk, Indomie and all that, to start sharing to people free of charge. Meaning that the subsidy you have removed from fuel, you have now turned it into another subsidy, because palliative is a support for the vulnerables. And when you think of it that way, you see that you have not made significant change in the system. And reason being that proper analysis has not been done. But I must give it to the present administration. Few of the economic policies that have been initiated will yield the desired, outcome, because we must be directed to a position of growth where people will face realism. All along, we have been enjoying a lot of false life, living false life, engaging in
Senator Ochendo, if I may button, Senator, my apologies, because of what you just said, and taking from what Honorable Bagos had said, is there nothing that the government can at least subsidize for the people at some point? Because it looks like the party is a centrist, should it be centrist left now, which is more populist and socialist, but a lot of capitalism is coming on and these people are profit driven. Isn't there something that should be subsidized in one form or the other if we take out everything?
Yeah. Government must come in and support the people in a number of areas. I give you an example. Majority of Nigerians have left the land. Majority of the people have left agriculture. And this is one productive area that will engage many more hands in production. Engagement of these idle hands. Government could go the extra mile of providing enough resources for cultivation, for the farmers. In the area of oil palm, where I had my experience, if each of the states of the federation that are good in oil palm cultivation get involved in agriculture, in oil palm development, and develop 1,000 hectares, in their various states, they will be employing a minimum of 2,000 workers off the streets. And these 2,000 workers will now be producing many more food for the society, for the public, for the government. And this is one way that people can now be subsidized. But if you provide them with the improved seeds, provide them with tractors, provide them with fertilizers, those are the direct productive ways of helping the people. Subsidize agriculture, subsidize education, subsidize their health. Their people will be stronger to now produce more. But to remove subsidy from petroleum and go and buy rice, instead of encouraging them to produce rice, is not the best. To subsidize, to take away subsidy from petroleum and then buy grains, instead of encouraging them to produce grains, is not the right way of subsidizing people. So that's my own thinking. There are many more ways the government can subsidize the people, but not by giving them food items to consume. That's why a lot of people say, teach me how to fish, don't give me fish.
All right, that's why our job as media is to, set the agenda and provide context. There's another issue besides the issue of subsidy, electricity, and all of that, which is insecurity. Let me come to you, Honorable Bagos. We've seen spate of kidnapping re-emerge again in the country, and it's quite sad to see this development. And recently, we've seen 17 soldiers killed in Okwama in Delta State. We've also seen policemen killed, and we understand that that operation is still ongoing. We've also seen, within the same Delta State, for instance, students being kidnapped, but they've been released. As a politician, as somebody who has served in public office, I want to get your take on what you make of when you see resurgence again of this level of insecurity that seem to defy common sense. Because sometimes you ask questions about our intelligence community and everybody put in place. Some of them are doing quite well, but sometimes the things that happen are baffling at the end of the day.
Yeah, you see, the issue of insecurity in Nigeria, Geoffrey, is something that we have talked about this not once, not twice. The issue and the narratives have been the same. Nothing has changed. We recall many times that we say, look, if government did not do anything about insecurity, the holistic nature of insecurity, and just focus on the issue of banditry and allow kidnapping to now be an industry, it's going to be a very difficult one. The reason being, if you ignore some component areas in addressing insecurity and always giving the narrative of clash or giving it a religious coronation, instead of addressing the issue of insecurity by bringing in justice, the justice system into addressing insecurity, and now bring in technology into addressing insecurity, there is any way, no matter the political will, and you don't bring the technical will into addressing insecurity, it will always be the same thing. Because now it's unheard to a developed nation or the country that knows what technology can do, and that 17 of our soldiers and policemen, 9 of them, will be killed in a community you can't use technology to trace, even Google Map or geolocate, to see the movement, to see how they, it's something that the world should not even hear something like this happening in the 21st century. Quite unfortunate that the life of these gallant people have been lost. But it's still the same narrative on how our people have been killed in our villages, in places that we have ignored the technicality of addressing the issue of insecurity in Nigeria by avoiding the use of technology, by avoiding dispensing justice to people that have had issues long ago, and it has led to people being killed, because on every bullet that is being shot, there is always a reason. So today, what will you now say? How can you give justice to these families of these gallant people that have been killed? God forbid that this issue will just go like that and no justice is being dispensed. Just like the way for over since 2001 on the plateau, we have been talking of the justice system, that nobody is today being sentenced that as a result of what is happening. So if government continue to avoid the issue of, avoid the justice system, avoid technology in the issue of insecurity, addressing insecurity in Nigeria, these issues will continue in and out. And by the way, like you earlier said, our security agencies are gallantry people. They have the experience and the technical know-how. But do they have the equipment to address these issues? Just like it's just like the brain drain we're having on our medical personnel today, that most of them have now left the country after being trained in Nigeria, because they go out, they meet equipment that they have never seen in Nigeria, but because of their brain, they perform wonders out of the country, because they have seen technology to be able to do what they have learned. If our security agencies will have the same kind of equipment other security people have around the world, we will perform wonders. Where is the civil defense today? That is only the military that are everywhere. Where are the police? Where are negotiators that can go in? In developed worlds, you have people that are well-trained negotiators. But today, kidnapping is being done. Nothing. You don't even. I don't know if the police have trained negotiators. If all these agencies have trained negotiators that can be able to tactically using technology. We watch films on daily basis. So these are issues that Nigeria needs to take seriously in issue of technology in addressing insecurity.
I want to touch as many issues as possible. Let me come to you, Senator Uchendu, on this particular one. Now, insecurity is not unique to Nigeria. It's a global phenomenon. But there are dimensions we see in Nigeria that has taken some level of an enterprise scale. And one of the things people are worried about is the lack of action to deter people from going that path. So we speak to the issue of the judiciary and all of that. So what action from your experience at all levels now, I speak, can be done to ensure that it sends a shock wave to the system, that before you think of considering that line of criminality, you will know that probably you're prepared to die or you're prepared to go to jail for the rest of your life, because it seems like nothing is happening to deter people as much as it should happen.
Well, I think the simple fact is this. An idle hand is the devil's workshop. Majority of the people that are involved in all these kidnapping, stealings, and all that are mainly the youths. And why are they involved in that? Because they are idle, they are not employed. The youths have two major assets at their disposal: an enormous amount of energy and enormous amount of time. And if these two elements, these two factors, are not properly harnessed for productive purposes, it will be harnessed by them for destructive purposes. This is what is going on. As far back as 2004, I remember a bill was sent to the National Assembly, to the House of Representatives when I was in the House of Reps. I said, the federal government must do something. That was my whole aim, to engage these idle hands. If not, a time will come when they will cane us publicly. And what the youth like most is to copy what is wrong. To copy what is wrong. At that time, it was the in-thing in the Delta areas. And a lot of people felt that is the problem of the Niger Delta. And I did tell them that if they do not take care of that problem that was emerging from the creeks, it will go around this country, because the youth will want to copy. It has become an industry, a big one at that. And to address it frontally, federal governments must come, down and take the bull by the horn. We must get back to the youth to see what we can do for those who are not in school, for those who have fell out of school, for those who are not employed, and engage them. That is the simple way.
Senator Ochendu.
There must be a deterrent. When people are caught, there is no remedies. Just go to the court, and whatever the law says must be complied with. But the situation where people have committed crime, heinous crime, disturbingly act, and they take them to court, the issue now will become they're striking out the case because of diligent prosecution. A lot of young men are languishing in prison custody because of diligent prosecution. So, and after some time, the DPP will advise the government in power at that either the state level or the federal level to say, look, this will have no case to answer because there's no diligent prosecution, and they will now be brought back into circulation in the societies. So there must be the police and the judiciary must be up in arms to ensure that those who are caught one way or the other are properly disciplined.
Senator Ochendu, before we leave this issue of insecurity and as we begin to wind down, the issue of the Okwama community killing that, God rest their soul, the 17 soldiers that were killed, the military is still carrying out operations. In fact, they say they are collaborating with the police and all of that. A couple of people have not been able to enter there. We understand some of the community members are in the bush, and we hear all kinds of story. In your view, as a former lawmaker, would it be right for that operation to be sustained till this moment, given that we're running a democracy?
Yeah, I think the least an average Nigerian will do is to give the military every support. Because for young men to volunteer to defend the country is the highest price that one can pay. At the same time, there are standard operating procedures to, for engagement in exercises like this. And I thought that by now, the experiences of the military, of the armed forces, in the case of Odi, in the case of Zaki Biam, and many others, will serve as a good lesson on how to approach situations like this. I am not really, I join the majority of Nigerians in condemning the killing. Anything murder is bad. The exercise, that action was bad and must be condemned by all and sundry. However, we have seen what is going on all over the world. Even in Ukraine, even in Kyiv, even in Gaza, CNN reporters are in there to report live to the populace, to the international community, what is really going on. So I think a lot of Nigerians will feel a little bit uncomfortable if they don't know what is going on in Okwama.
All right, Senator. So my apologies because of time. Let me take it to Honorable Bagos. Honorable Bagos, your take on this particular issue of the military still carrying out operations. This happened, I think, about 15th of March. The soldiers have been buried. People are a bit divided that everybody literally condemns what happened. Every right-thinking and discerning individual condemns the killing of our gallant soldiers. But the operation being carried out, led by the soldiers and all of that, is what people are divided over. I had the guest who served in the U.S. military who said at this point the FBI will take over, of course, in collaboration with the military. So what should the military do differently so that they don't lose the goodwill of the people?
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate joining condemning the issue, the killings, but most importantly, they should be guided by rules of engagement. Every security agency has its rules of engagement. So whatever the engagement is, yes, it's already a crime scene. So in condoning a crime scene, there should be rules of engagement that it should be an open thing that we should be able to know what kind of engagement the military are doing. Let it not be an issue that it will snowball into the next community as well. So basically, we advise the military to engage through their rules, and at the same time, what will be so pertinent and important to the Nigerian public and to families of the gallant soldiers that have been slain is that justice, they should be able to get justice. So through their rules of engagement, it's not just closing the community, but justice should be given to those gallant soldiers that have been slain by seeing that, okay, these are the suspects and they have been arraigned and these are proofs and so on and so forth. And that is very key to the, in the democratic setting of a nation, to see that the justice system, like I said earlier, is being upheld, that families are being seen to be carried along.
Gentlemen, I must thank you so much for your thoughts and insight on this particular issue. But I can't leave without, since I have the benefit of having Senator Ochendu, just a quick take. We just have barely 2 minutes to the end of this conversation. Senator Ochendu, a lot is going on with Rivers politics. At some point, it was like everything had not necessarily settled, but we saw Governor Siminala Ifubara come out again to blow hot, and he says he's daring them to hold back whatever they are trying to do to him, else he's going to do things that no one will believe. So I don't know what you make of what we call the political imbroglio of the Rivers politics, of Rivers State politics, as well as the some of the happenings behind the scene. You are there, you understand how these things work.
But the unfortunate, I would have been surprised if you didn't raise this issue with me this evening. I am really surprised that a good number of Nigerians have kept quiet and watching the trend. You know, this is not good enough. We know that what is going on in Rivers State is condemnable. It's unacceptable. Government is being ground to a halt, and the people are suffering. Nobody thinks of the citizens. You know, there is no personalization of governance. Election has come and gone. I'm not a member of the PDP, but the PDP, in their wisdom, produced him as a candidate. And according to what INEC said, that declared him winner, the highest court in the land has come. Can we allow the young man to do his job as the governor of the state? A situation where the House of Assembly will be antagonizing themselves with the governor does not make for peace in the polity. And there's no way development will come in. We are interested in development. Those who are concerned about what's going on in Rivers State should please, step back and allow us to breathe. The state belongs to all of us. No one individual, no one tribe owns the state. This is the point I would like to stop. Because if I go further, I may be personalizing issues because I'm not a member of the party. But I am, a citizen of this state, of Rivers State, that should feel concerned. The governor is not being allowed to do his job as an elected governor of the state. And Nigerians should rise up and condemn what is going on. I don't know who is wrong, who is right, but the governor has his constitutional powers to discharge, and he's being strangulated.
Senator Andrew Chendu represented Rivers East Senatorial District in the National Assembly. Thank you so much for your time and coming on the program. Honorable Dachong Bagos represented Just South and Just East Federal Constituency. I wanted to have your take on Rivers politics, but we're totally out of time. I understand because we're due for a break. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the program. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We'll take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll have that conversation. Yesterday, the president signed into law that repealed and reenacted students' loan bill into law. We're going to look at some of the provisions and how the students are responding to that particular act that has now been signed into law. One of the leaders of the students joins us on the program. Join us again. Welcome back. We'll now shift gears to the Students' Loan Act that has now been signed into law. We're being joined on the program by one of the leaders of the students, Mr. Pedro Obi, joins us from our Abuja studio. Mr. Obi, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you, my pleasure.
So let's get straight to this particular. I'm sure that you would have seen the provisions of the one that I'm talking about the act that was repealed and now reenacted. Now that this has been signed into law, because there was a policy note that annotated a few things that I will speak to at some point in the program, if we have time, that had to be changed to reflect the will and the intention of the students. How has the student community, how have they received this particular news of this rearrangement or reenactment?
Okay. Of course, the student loan, when it was initially signed, as of last year, June, there were so many issues with respect to the act. And we made mention of those obstacles that will be a block to accessing these loans. And good 18, it was taken into cognizance, and it was effected. Some of those things that we raised were effected in this repealed act. So I want to believe that, obviously, with what has been done so far, it will go a long way to ensure that the loan is accessible to those who actually needs it. Okay? So because one of those obstacles that we noticed as of that time, getting to do with having senior directors in civil service or what have you before you can be recommended to benefit from such a loan. So for me, and we raised our voices, and to the glory of God, it was held, and those issues were taken into cognizance in this particular repealed act. So I want to believe that what has been done so far will go a long way to ensure that there's accessibility. But this loan itself, we have also noticed one or two things with respect to this issue. As president of NANS, I've been following up, and we have our contact across board, hearing so many things with respect to the loan. And I will say that on the issue of accountability and oversight, the dead body with respect to this loan, and the impact on the educational sector generally. You see, on the debt burden, obviously we know the level of unemployment as far as the country is concerned. In the course of our engagement with the fund management, we were told on how the repayment plan and the rest of it, 2 years post-NYSC. And you and I know, as Nigerians who have been involved, we have been following up, we know what is happening. Some of my classmates in secondary school who have gone ahead to the university, polytechnics, and the rest of them, most of them at the end of the day today, they don't even have a job. More than 5 years, 6 years post-NYSC. Okay? So when you say NYSC, 2 years post-NYSC before you start repayment, are we saying that even if you are just hustling on your own, not even qualified to be called self-employment, and you are being paid whatever you are gaining, even as keke rider or whatever, in your account, and government is going to be taking those 10% or whatever the payment plan is going to be? These are the issues that I feel the federal government should also look at very critically, okay? Because we have looked at this thing holistically, and I want to use this opportunity to let federal government know that, see, repayment plan should be looked at very, very importantly, because you can't say somebody who have not given job. So it therefore takes us to the point where I would say there should be classification of employment status before somebody can be asked to start repaying this 2 years post-NYSC. For instance, if you are employed in the federal government sector, the civil service, yes, you can start paying. If you are employed on the level of organized private sector, when I say organized private sector, we know you are working in Dangote and the rest of them, the banks and the rest of them, public, those kind of public settings, you can start paying 2 years post-NYSC. But if you federal government have not given you a job, then you said somebody should be forced to start paying 2 years post-NYSC. It's something that personally, the leadership of NANS will not accept that.
Mr. Obi,
we are using this opportunity to...
Just a minute. I know that I've seen the policy notes of the presidency, which has to do with some of the things they are trying to change. There's a provision that has to do with a beneficiary may request an extension of enforcement action. It looks like what you're complaining about has already been provided for.
Yes, you see, that is what I'm saying. But you know how this country, that is why we are saying it early enough. I am aware, but we are saying it early enough because we know what for somebody to start applying for that, and at the end of the day, you say this was not approved and the rest of it. That is why we are using this early enough. so that it will not look as if when tomorrow comes, somebody will start applying for extension and the rest of them, stories will start coming up. And you will tell the person that after all, you are having money in your account and the rest of it. If the person at that level decides to pay on his own because just to take the burden of debt off him, fine and good. But that person in that status shouldn't be forced.
So are you saying, Mr. Obi, let me get it clear from you, because these are the concerns that students raise, like you, raise, that force the government to take a second look at the law. So in terms of income, what are you talking? Are you talking about there should be an amount that the student should be earning, or there should be what they call security of tenure or stability of a job before the government can start zooming in to get the repayment of that particular law? What exactly are you positing?
You got it right by saying the status, the stability of the employment. The stability of the employment is very, very important at this point. Okay, so that is why, for us, it will encourage the government to make jobs available for Nigerians. It will make jobs readily available, because if you don't provide job, you don't expect people that you have given loan to sponsor their education to make payment. And also on the institution side, the universities and the polytechnics, the colleges of education, who are going to be receiving this money, the federal government on its own should do everything possible to ensure that this is not an avenue for these people to start skyrocketing school fees. Because whether we like it or not, we can't say because federal government is going to be providing this amount of money for us in terms of loan, so therefore we give them the window to start increasing school fees as they like. Whether we like it or not, if it is 200,000 that you have borrowed, it is on you. The debt is on you. So therefore, we should also put a cap. We should be able to manage this, because as National Association of Nigerian Students will not take it lightly for any higher education institution or management of any institution to start skyrocketing fees on the basis of this loan. Okay, so we on that basis.
So, because as we're discussing, I'm looking at some of the policy notes that is reflective in that particular act that has now been reenacted. And one of the things that was missing was the fact that it wasn't body corporate. What that simply means in law is that it cannot be sued, or can it sue? So they've provided for, it has to be body corporate with perpetual succession and a common seal. That gives NANS and every other person who has access to this loan an opportunity to check the system to ensure that whoever is managing these funds does it within the ambit of the law. So as a student body, are you guys beginning to talk to yourself as to looking at the future and looking at what are the possible scenarios in terms of default and failures on the part of the operators and what to do about it in case it happens?
Now, that is accountability and oversight. The accountability part of it is that, yes, in the course of this, our engagement with the fund over time and ensuring that the whole thing suits and makes it more easily accessible, we made mention that as far as we are concerned, the entire process must be automated. Whatever it takes to ensure that there's little or minimal human intervention as far as the application and approval process is concerned, that is what we are in. Because, let me use this opportunity to make it abundantly clear to Nigerians. We are hearing of different people who Mr. President has already appointed to manage the affairs of the students, who are going around impersonating and carrying people in the name of student representative, because they are already going about promising people that are going to give them student loan and the rest of them. And that is why for us, as the student leaders, as National Association of Nigerian Students, we will be there to ensure, we will continue to monitor that the core mandate of NET Fund must be protected, to ensure that this entire process is well protected, automated, with minimal or little human intervention.
Are you saying by extension, Mr. Obi, are you, if I heard you correctly, Mr. Obi, is it that there's the NANS is a divided house already, even before this guy started?
NANS is not divided. When you say NANS is divided, what I'm saying in essence is that there is Ashe for Sunday, that the SSA to president on students, he has been going around promising people he's going to give them student loan and the rest of them. And that is why he's desperate.
Well, you're
drop names.
Mr. Abid, you're on a big platform, so when you make allegations, you have to substantiate it. Let's leave issues.
It's not allegations.
Let's go back to the issues. I don't want you to make allegations that you cannot defend. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you don't have a right to say what you have to say.
Of course.
All right?
Of course. We have, as NANS, this is an organization. This is a student union that is built on principle and ideology. So when we see things going wrongly, that is why we are saying that the entire process must be automated. I am telling you of somebody, there's no water in my mouth. I am telling you of somebody who is going about promising people, and I'm telling President Tinubu that he should do everything possible to make sure that for Sunday does not
all right, Mr. Obi,
for the student community.
If you can hear me, I know you're one of the leaders of the students union or student association. Have you had any information as to when this whole thing will start in terms of people beginning to access the funds? Because at the end of the day, the idea is that people that are not capable of paying their fees, because it's not just tuition, institutional fees, charges, upkeep, and all of that have now been integrated, even for vocational studies. When will it start? Have you heard anything from the government? Have they discussed anything with you guys?
The NEF Fund, I've been in touch with NEF Fund before now, and throughout the entire testing process, we have as organization, as NANS, we have contributed our quota, our part, to ensure that the entire process, in fact, to the extent that we have to get raw data from our students, volunteers, to ensure that these things are tested with raw data, okay, during the build-up of the website and the app, to ensure that this process is seamless. And I'm very sure that definitely, for now, we have not heard when the exact date that the whole thing is going to start. But even at that, federal government on its own is failing, because this whole thing has been promised for a very long time. Why did I say so? You see, most institutions have even done their first semester, and the question is, are we, in fact, maybe they are trying to just buy time or whatever, and maybe probably they are not ready, they are just trying to bamboozle everybody, you know, because I'm very much aware, and you are also aware, that most tertiary institutions, most universities are done with their first semester, and the moment that most institutions are done with their first semester, it also means that most of them have also paid their school fees. Okay, we have issues, we have crises during that period at Umudi Cape, so many universities and polytechnics due to school fees issues and the rest. And those periods we were clamoring and crying that this loan that has been promised should come forth. But obviously, here we are. Today, we are already in April. Most schools are done with their first semester. In fact, as I'm talking to you, some are already resuming. Okay, so the question is, are we saying that this session, there is not going to be the loan is not going to work for this section? Because that is what it obviously means. Because if you have paid, what are you going to do with it again for this section? Are we deliberately trying to make sure that we disenfranchise some people? Okay? So, but by and large, the loan itself, NANS, there was never any time that NANS was not in support of the loan.
All right.
Okay? But with the I keep playing around it. But I can assure you and assure Nigerians that whatever it takes for us to stand to ensure that there's accountability and oversight, as far the fund management and the fund disbursement application process is concerned, Pedro Chibuzobi, as the president of NANS, will do it with the leadership of the entire Nigerian student.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pedro Obi, NANS leader. Thank you so much for coming on the program. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
And I just add to the fact that that law is now a law. The president has signed it, and so a couple of changes have been made, including the fact that there's a provision for loan forgiveness in the event of death or acts of God causing inability to pay. Those are some of the provisions. The threshold in terms of income of the parents have been removed, as well as if your parents were owing loans and all of that doesn't affect you in any shape or form. Those are part of the things that the law has now provided for. Thank you so much for your time and, of course, your usual company. I'm Jeffrey Uzonga. Good night.